Welcome back to the Immortal Hulk right here at Comicstorian. This is your home for comic book news, knowledge, and information as we break down the storylines within comic books or tell you what's happening to your favorite characters or just explaining who we think would win in a fight. Make sure you subscribe to keep up to date on your comic book knowledge, but today we're going to be continuing our coverage of the Immortal Hulk. Now let me give you a quick rundown how we got to this point because this opens up a brand new chapter in the Immortal Hulk storyline. The Hulk died in the Avengers No Surrender storyline, but he discovered that he is unable to die. He discovered that there is a being known as the One Below All, who is lower than hell, lower than the devil. He is something totally different. He discovered that his father was actually down there, and that there is a green door that allows gamma-radiated individuals to come back to life and leave the Below All area. So he's an immortal Hulk. We also discovered that the Devil Hulk, the most evil form of the Hulk, is the one in charge right now. At night, the Devil Hulk comes out. During the day, it's Bruce Banner. And there was a faction of the army known as Shadowbase battling against the Hulk and Bruce Banner. After killing the Immortal Hulk multiple times and him coming back to life, Hulk eventually took over Shadowbase and now rules the entire faction of the military. He's the guy in charge of this stuff. But now his plans are to attack humans, to attack mankind. And the way that he's going to do that, well, that's today's video. It's a bit of a wordier video, and I'll talk about it at the end of today's video, so please stick it out, as these two issues that we're going to cover today are going to explain the new direction of the Immortal Hulk before we get back to Hulk just overall smashing things. Bruce Banner and the Hulk aren't happy with mankind, and that's today's videos. As the screen flickers on, an image of Bruce Banner appears and he tells the world, "Hello. For those who don't know, my name is Robert Bruce Banner, and as many of you know, I am the Hulk. I'm broadcasting from a secret location under the aegis of Shadowbase, an organization that was, until recently, tasked to vivisect me and create weapons from my body. For that purpose, they were allocated a black budget, or a covert deniable revenue stream funneled from our nation's military of $1.2 billion. That money could have been spent on education or medicine or help build the renewable energy infrastructure that we're going to need to survive the coming century. More likely, it would have been spent on more guns or more bombs or more camps. But, well, that's the world we live in, isn't it? The human world. Let's talk about the human world." And a few days later, after that broadcast at a Massachusetts diner, Bruce Banner sits alone, stating that this is probably the best clam chowder that he's ever had, compliments to the chef. The cook behind the counter tells him that he appreciates it. It was his father's recipe. Naturally, the clams were hand-caught. Bruce gives him a lighthearted laugh, telling him, naturally. But just then, the door opens up, and Amadeus Cho comes in, telling him that he had to lose the paparazzi. Figured this was something that they wouldn't want the whole country to see. And regarding that, there's one thing that he wanted to ask Bruce Banner. "What the hell are you doing? That little pirated broadcast? That was a manifesto. We both have had our brush with Hulk syndrome, had voices in our head that thought that they knew better. So again, for real, what the hell are you doing, Bruce?" Meanwhile, back at Shadowbase, Samson helps with his new equipment, stating, "Hulk syndrome? That must be something that Amadeus came up with." Essentially, gamma mutation has been known to cause symptoms similar to dissociative identity disorder. It happened to Bruce, it happened to me. Jen Walters seems to have it now. Amadeus suspected it because they all took their gamma radiation from Bruce, who already has dissociative identity disorder, when he became the Hulk. Dr. McGowan asks if that means that the gamma transfer reflects the mental condition of the gamma donor. Samson goes on stating that Amadeus seems to think so. That basically because Bruce Banner has multiple personalities, if he gives you a gamma-based ability such as turning into a Hulk, you're also going to get split personalities. The other option is that Bruce also has Hulk syndrome on top of his pre-existing split personality condition, which has me wondering, why would you suddenly go from fighting the Hulk to now following him? McGowan, who once worked for Shadowbase, last stating that they must remember that General 14 was the only thing keeping them out of jail, and he's gone. But also, their job was to study Bruce, and now that he lives here, well, what they're learning from him, they can do so much good. Adele here, they could give him his life back. They could give Rick Jones his face back. Samson then asks how much of this is guilt talking. For everything that they did to Bruce and the Hulk before she sided with him. Dr. McGowan pauses for a moment and then says that Bruce is right. What he's saying, those broadcasts that he's making, she honestly thinks that he's right. She believes in Bruce Banner. Does Samson? Bruce explains the recent events of the capture of Shadowbase and how he is now the commander of Shadowbase, stating how Dr. Charlene McGowan is the key to their success. Rick told him that she put her life on the line for the team. Those who stayed at the base with her, she has their absolute loyalty. She has chosen to work with Hulk, so now he has the absolute loyalty of all the soldiers following her, as since she is following him. So Amadeus asks him, what happened to the old Shadowbase commander? And Bruce stares without saying anything. So Amadeus moves on. Okay, another question. We're both Gamma guys. If I die, will I stay dead? Bruce laughs, telling him, personally, I wouldn't risk dying. There really aren't any rules for this. General Ross is still dead, and so is Walter. Amadeus tells him, yeah, but he read that he came back the first time, which reminds him that reporter friend Jackie, she wanted an interview. Bruce says that Jackie is more of Hulk's friend, and Amadeus says, yeah? And which Hulk is she friends with? Bruce picks up a spoon and looks down at the Hulk's reflection, stating, the Green Scar. He and the professor are dormant right now, not sure why. Amadeus scoffs, asking, really? The two most heroic Hulks aren't up for this? And you're not sure why the heroic ones aren't here? Come on, we both know anger. We both know what it's like to save the world. Bruce stops him. No, I don't know what it's like to save the world, because the world cannot be saved. Not the human world. Not the world as we currently understand it. Earth's climate is changing rapidly. The world the humans built is, well, not sustainable, Amadeus. But there is still a short-term profit to be made, so the same systems are allowed to continue over all our dead bodies if need be. Amadeus tells Bruce that he understands that the math is bad. He isn't denying that, but there's still hope. They still live in a world of heroes. Bruce looks at Amadeus in the eyes, telling him, I don't believe in heroes anymore. Amadeus then asks, so what's the plan? Break everything and hope that things get better? Because we've seen where that goes, World Breaker. Bruce backs off, telling him, no. The Hulk is a blunt instrument. If it's going to be used, it needs to be carefully targeted. Like I was saying, there are people who do what they do to ruin the world for profit. Those entities, they're too big to fail. But very rarely, some justice is done. A fine is levied. Men with personal fortunes in the billions are asked to pay pocket change. Then they buy whoever they have to stop it from happening again. But what if we were to target one of these entities and make them pay, actually pay Amadeus, and make sure that they never stopped paying? Amadeus stands up, stating that he trusts him, but he needs to plan his next move carefully. He is an angry middle-class white guy talking about a revolution. That doesn't always end so well. But back at the end of Bruce Manifest, the one that he broadcast, he explains his demands, so that now we, the viewer and the reader, know them. That there is no meaningful consequences for those who would use their power to engineer and profit from disaster. So we're going to have to create some consequences. In 1 week, they're going to hear about Hulk rampaging, a targeted Hulk rampage, against a particular entity, a declaration on war against those who would war on them. So, a short while later, at the Roxxon Plaza in New York, Dario Agger tells his board welcome. They may be wondering why he chose to address them in this manner, in this shape. Why he's now so open when he once practiced discretion. Simply put, he has learned a proper perspective. And the recent war between humanity and the elves, they backed the elves. Treason in any sense of the word. High crimes committed in a public view. But what were the consequences? Petitions? Think pieces, lackluster boycotts of their most obvious brands. Nobody important cared. So let the word out. His name is Dario Agger, CEO of Roxxon Energy Corporation, and this is his true form, because nobody will care. It's too difficult to care. This world is a maze of money and power in which the human beings lose themselves. They live their lives in a labyrinth, and he is the Minotaur. The next week, at the meeting of the day, board member Higgins says that their share prices continue to recover. They're back to 2018 levels and climbing. Given the current market uncertainties, they are ready for a downturn, but nothing to report on that yet. Still, he would suggest avoiding risky ventures. Minotaur tells Higgins to stop being a coward. They're not some mom and pop store that closes down in a strong wind. They are the hurricane. Uncertainty is what they want. Business demands uncertainty. There must be winners and losers, the strong and the weak. They are the strongest that there is. He is a 9-foot-tall man-bull who betrayed the earth to elves, and yet here he stands. Don't talk to him about risk. Should they pick their battles? Absolutely. But avoid them? No, there is no avoiding them. When he became CEO, Roxxon was stepping up their renewable energy program, and he took them in the opposite direction. Not that he doesn't believe the science, the question is, what do they have to offer? Weaponry. In the coming resource wars, people will need everything from assault rifles to magical super soldiers. Maybe they'll even sell a politician or two, bought off the rack, or they'll home grow them themselves. But they're kind of people. The masses like to see strength in their leaders. Higgins says that seems like an extreme response. Their current projections aren't quite so dire, are they? They still have time to do something, don't they? The projections, the environmental studies that they release, they say, and Minotaur stomps them, stating that that's the problem. He has been looking at the studies that they've released for public consumption. They'll have to give him clearance for the real ones. Simply put, that 12-year-old deadline in the news, optimistic. Right now, the global situation is relatively stable, but things change. They change fast. Of all the many products that they sell, the most profitable and powerful is narrative. Selectively packaged, expertly targeted, highly potent. Control of what information the public receives and believes is vital to a continued business. But in this room, at this level, there can be no illusions. They cannot succumb to their own. But at that moment, another board member, Travers, says that they have reports of a Hulk attack currently in progress. Minotaur says, good. Speaking of narrative, they can show the public of how Roxxon's heroes handle the nation's biggest bad guy. How soon can their berserker units reach the scene? And Travers says that they are already here. The Hulk is attacking them. One of their data centers, the one in Oregon. Minotaur pauses for a moment and then asks, what did you just say? No. How did he know? As the Minotaur squeezes and crushes Higgins' head, he throws the body aside, telling the board, I apologize. I found myself in need of a stress ball. I am afraid that we have a serious problem. Earlier, I spoke about creating a narrative, the importance of controlling the public consciousness. As some of you know, Roxxon West is the beating heart of that strategy. It's the server farm that keeps Roxxon running. Roxface, Yambler, the forums. Roxxon's entire social media reach and our window into the soul of mankind. Roxxon West processes trillions of terabytes of data a second, a goldmine of personal data, priceless, but given to us for free. It allows us to tailor information to each user, to create loyalty, to foster apathy, to tell a story in their heads. The Berserker units stationed there are Hulk-level troops. If they aren't enough, then Bruce Banner will have achieved something previously thought impossible. He will have hurt the Roxxon Corporation. But back at Shadowbase, Hulk reports that he's finished, and McGowan tells him that Roxface is down. It would seem that Dr. Banner was right. That's how you hurt Roxxon. They should translocate him back. It's almost sunrise, and when sunrise is up, the Hulk is gone. The Hulk pushes aside the rubble, telling her, yeah, I figured I'd stick around and watch the sunrise. McGowan asks, doesn't the sunlight? And Hulk tells her, yeah, the day ain't my time. But Banner showed me that I could fight that. We can fight that. We work together, McGowan. Together. We are the strongest one that there is. And this is just the start. And that concludes these two issues of Immortal Hulk. Now, I do apologize as this one was very wordy, a lot going on in the overall storyline, but like I said in our intro, you're gonna need to understand what's going on in order to understand moving forward. We have new books, including the Immortal She-Hulk. We have this book getting back to the Hulk punching things. We have a bunch of things happening in the Hulk universe, and I am a huge fan of the Hulk, so I wanted to get back to telling you guys the Hulk storylines. But the reason we stalled out was because they got super wordy like this, and I didn't know where the books were going. I didn't know if it was going to get back to true Hulk form, where he's going to start punching things, he's going to start breaking things. But overall, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, as next Saturday, we're going to bring you the next chapter of the Hulk. And trust me, the Hulk is fighting things again. And don't forget, you can also support us by going to our Patreon, where we're giving you early access to a lot of our products, and we're giving you early access to a lot of our podcasts. Thank you so much for you guys' continued support. I really do appreciate it. But let me know in the comments down below what you guys think of the Hulk going in this direction, of him battling against humankind, but not by destroying everything, but by thinking it all out. Either way, thank you guys so much, and I'll see you next time.